Welcome back to another episode of Money is Blind podcast. I'm your host, Prasoon, and in this episode, I'll be talking about the main differences between sighted persons who build businesses and blind or visually impaired person just like me, and of course, you guys who are trying to build their businesses. So, what are the main differences between sighted persons and us? Well, the number one difference, as you might have guessed, is the lack of sight. It's not due to our fault, is it? It's not our father's or mother's fault. It might be the genes, it could be the environment that we are living in, it could be the negligence of some healthcare workers. I'm not sure what is the reason behind your blindness, but you have to think about it in a different way now. Consider your blindness as a blessing. Consider this as the opportunity for you to change. If you guys are a parent, you will understand what I'm talking about. So, parenting as a blind person is the topic for another episode. I'll write it down. It's an interesting topic. I have so many things to share about this topic. But today, let's talk about the main differences. As you all know, there are many differences. The most of them are limitations that we face, the lack of independence, because there are certain things that we need help in order to complete our tasks, and others, of course, we can do. When you're trying to build an online business, you can do many things all by yourself because almost all the softwares that you use in your computer or your mobile phone, all of them are accessible, and it can be really easy to learn and make a part of your life. So, apart from the blindness, what would be the main difference between a person who has built multiple successful businesses but has no blindness and someone just like us who are trying to build businesses? And guess what? There are many blind persons who have built successful online businesses and, of course, offline businesses as well who are blind. I think instead of talking about the differences, we should look at their similarities, because when it comes down to success, it's about the discipline in their life. It is the mindset, the belief they have in their own abilities, the understanding that they have about their weaknesses, the plans and the strategies they have to carry forward their businesses and roles and to implement the roles and responsibilities they entrust upon themselves, and then later upon the staff they recruit, the employees they recruit. It's mostly the similarities which makes successful entrepreneurs different from failures. In order to understand how you can build a successful business, all you need to realize is that you have some limitations, you have a weakness, you do not have the major sense organ which brings in most of the information into your brain. It is malfunctioning, and just because it is malfunctioning, it doesn't mean that it is the end of the world or it is the end of the life for you. When one door closes, 1,000 doors open. I'm not sure who said that. Maybe it's a saying in Jesus, by Jesus, I don't know. But in order to open those doors, you have to keep knocking, right? And what happens if you don't what what happens if you don't knock on the doors? What will happen if you are lazy and if you are not trying too hard? If you believe that you have reached the limits, your life is done, the blindness has put a full stop in your life, it has set a highest point or an upper limit to the dreams that you had as a kid. And if you believe that firmly, that must change. When a sighted person tries to build a business and when he tries to scale it up to grow that business and make it profitable, he has to complete many tasks. He has to build many systems around that business and he has to make that business independent of himself. That means that business has to work and continue working even when he is not looking after it. So, but that doesn't happen in 1 or 2 years. In order to understand a business, even if you are building a business in the same niche, in the same industry, the same category, the way you conduct that business will be different from how your friend who starts the same kind of business in another district, it will be different because each and every person is different. So the way we conduct and run our businesses will also be different. The systems that we build in the businesses will also be different. In order to build these systems, he has to be consistent. He has to bring in discipline into his life. He has to take the roles of multiple personalities. He has to look after sales. He has to look after operations. He has to look after marketing. He has to look after accounting, everything he has to do in the early part of the business. I'm not talking about $1 million business when you start up. I'm talking about a micro business that you can start as an individual, and you only need 2 or 3 persons to help you out to make that business into $1 million business. Believe me, it is possible in this day and age because of the advancements in technology. So when you start your businesses, you will have to do these roles. And I'm talking about sighted persons. Keep that in mind, okay? You have to do these roles and you have to keep running every wheel of that business. If you can imagine your business as a vehicle, these different departments, marketing, sales, operations, can everything be considered to be a wheel of that business, right? So initially, in the early days of your business, you will have to run each and every wheel of the business in order to keep that business running on the road. I hope that anagram works out and you can understand what I mean when I compare a business to our running vehicle. So a sighted person can do this, and he usually does it. If he is trying to build a successful business, he will be consistent, he will have the right mindset, he will know what roles needs to be fulfilled in each of these departments. He will write it down, he will build systems around each of these departments, each of these wheels of the business, and he then, when the business grows, he will try to bring in new staff and he will then teach those employees how he used to run those departments, how he managed to run the wheels of that business. And then he teaches it to them in such a manner that they understand it. They understand the value why this man is trying to build his business, why he is trying to grow his business, what this business means to him. And when they really understand that aspect of your business, when they understand the value that you're trying to provide through your business, and when they really learn and understand how you used to manage those departments, they will take the business forward. They will take care of that department. That's how you grow a business. But when a sighted person does this, he can do it in a much shorter time. He will be able to read reports. He will be able to write it down on a piece of paper. These are some of the advantages that a sighted person, someone who is trying to build a business, has when compared to a blind person, someone just like me or you. So these are very minor advantages that I'm talking about. He can quickly go through his pocket diary and scribble down notes. He can look into a person's eyes, face, and understand their body language without even talking, right? But we can't do that. He can go anywhere, anytime, without depending on other persons. And he can use his time more effectively to expand his business in a much faster pace than he had actually imagined because of his passive power of his eyes. So I think those are the advantages a sighted person has when compared to a blind person, right? What about the disadvantages? But before we go into the disadvantages a sighted person has, let us talk about the advantages that a blind person who is trying to build an online business or any other business has when compared to a sighted person, right? Let's talk about that. If you're trying to build a successful business as a blind person, you will also need the right mindset. You will have to believe in your abilities. You will have to understand the weaknesses. You will need to know what are the things that you can do all by yourself and what are the tasks that you need to outsource. You will definitely need a personal assistant, someone who you can trust with your financial statements, with almost all the confidential documents that your business has. Your personal assistant has to go through it, and any file or document that you see or are going to sign, your personal assistant has to first go through it, read it aloud to you, and even if he doesn't understand, you will have to make him read it aloud so that you can understand. So that's how, that is one way in which we have an advantage. Why? Because a personal assistant is another human being. He is another mind. He has another brain which is working for you. He'll be there with you for about 8 hours a day. And you can ask any kind of opinion to him. Just think about this. A sighted person who builds a business gets a personal assistant only when he becomes a celebrity, right? Only when he becomes a very busy businessman. But till then, he manages his own personal tasks by himself. But you, as a blind person, because of this blessing that we have, the blindness, we can have another person, a personal assistant, with us right from the start, right from the beginning. Right from the beginning of our entrepreneurial journey. That's a huge plus point. That's a huge benefit, and that's a huge advantage that we have when compared to a sighted person. Just think about it. But the main problem is that most of us, we don't know how to utilize the time and energy of our personal assistant. And that's because of our ignorance in the fields, in skills like communication, in skills like management. That's because of our ignorance in skills like management of human resources. If we can develop these skills, and if we can develop the skill of managing time, we can make use of our personal assistant and achieve more things than a sighted person can. Just think about it. So the plans and strategies that we are trying to implement, it will be different from what a sighted person creates. You can schedule all the tasks that you can do by yourself to a time when your personal assistant is not around. And there might be tasks like video editing or going through a financial statement or a Microsoft Excel document, creating a Microsoft Excel document and calculating the vendor payments or checking the inventory, all those kind of things that you are not comfortable doing yourself. You can do that, outsource it to your personal assistant, or get that task done when your personal assistant is with you. Just think about it. You just have to create a plan which is much more deeper, which is much more clearer than what you have in your mind right now. You have to write it down. And when I mean write it down in a digital format, in your Apple Notes, in your Evernote, in the Keep Notes, or in your Mac or Windows laptop. Write it down, name the file, rename it so that you will be able to find it whenever you need it. The plan should be clear, precise and it should be understandable when you try to open it and read it the next time. And you should be able to execute that plan. So, what are the other advantages that you have as a blind person who is starting a business? Yesterday, in the last episode, I talked about Isaac Litsky and his book Eyes Wide Open. I seen one of his interviews, and in that interview, I think it was a TED talk. The interviewer asked him how he manages to conduct meetings as a CEO in his construction company, and Isaac replies something like this, and I quote him. These words are exactly not similar, but it has almost the same meaning, right? So in the meetings that I have at the director level, at the boardroom meetings, I am not able to see their faces and understand their body language. So what I have brought into the company is to make communication a bit more deeper and clearer, so that everybody has to be a bit more verbal in order to communicate. So body languages and body face gestures doesn't mean anything in a meeting. They have to speak it aloud, and make their mind clear, because this man, a blind man, is the CEO, right? So that was his reply, and he got a huge round of applause for his reply. You can watch the TED video on YouTube also. You just have to search Isaac Litsky. So don't consider it as a disadvantage. Instead, try to learn from the situation and convert it into a situation where it becomes beneficial to you. So when you are not able to understand a person's facial gesture or body language, tell him in advance that you have vision problems, and you need to speak it out, so that you can understand. Because the person that you are talking to, it has happened with me many times, because I almost look into their eyes, but they might not realize that I'm not seeing their face properly or clearly, but they think that I'm just another sighted person, and they try to communicate with me just like they do with another sighted person. But that doesn't work with me. So whenever I meet a new person, I open up immediately that I have this problem. I have vision problem. Most persons, and even myself, I had this hindrance. I had this tendency to hide my disability, my problem with new persons that I meet. I didn't want them to know about it. So I hid it from them till I thought it would be the right time to open it up, but that doesn't work. I came to learn this thing when I try to meet new people, and when I read that book, How to Talk to Anyone. I don't remember the author's name, but it was a very good book, and I highly recommend it. You should also go read that book, because it has helped me to improve my communication skills. It is mostly for sighted person, but yes, there are some tips and lessons that you can learn as a blind person. Some important communication skills that you can pick up from that book. So definitely check it out. And finally, the lack of independence. Just here also, I would like to say that instead of considering it as a disadvantageous, think about your dependence on someone else as a blessing. Because now, whenever you go anywhere, you have some other person accompanying you. The other persons who are going to meet you for the first time, they might think that you are an important person because you always have a personal assistant with you. A personal assistant, whenever you hire a personal assistant, should be a person with such a caliber. So make sure that you hire the right person as your personal assistant. And how can you do that? You can listen to that episode. I've done it and published it already. I hope you already listened to that one. You can also find it in www.moneyisblind.com. The lack of independence also means that you can't make random decisions and make it happen all of a sudden. You have to plan your journeys, your transportation, your visits from your tours, your daily commute from home to office and way back to home. All of that you have to plan in advance. You might need to hire a driver, a cab, or make necessary arrangements for that. But then you are improving your planning, your strategic skills. You are planning well ahead of minor things that a sighted person never do. These are some of the advantages that you are gaining as a person with blindness. Just think about it. Apart from these differences, I think in order to build a successful business, there are more similarities between a sighted person and a blind or a visually impaired person. Because consistency, good habits, discipline, the positive beliefs, the positive mindset, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, communication skills, public speaking skills. There are many soft skills that you can achieve even as a blind person, and there are no limitations when it comes to becoming a blind person who can develop these soft skills or even master these soft skills and build a business or scale it up to a stage where it becomes highly profitable, so that you can either sell that business or exit that business profitably. Just think about this company. It's called Twitter. It was founded, I think, 16 or 18 years ago. In 2006, everyone was running behind Twitter. And in 2022, Elon Musk, the world's richest person, took over that company for 44 billion US dollars. That's how you can scale a company. That's the power of an online business. A social media, their main streams of income is still advertisement. I know, and you might also have heard that Elon Musk is trying to bring in more streams of revenue into Twitter with the introduction of Twitter Spaces and all. Hey, if you are on Twitter and if you like to chat with me on Twitter Spaces, or if you heard about Clubhouse, if you want to have a live session with me, just fill up the contact form in moneyisblind.com, and of course we can do it. We'll do it one day. I think on that note, it's time to wind up this episode. I hope whatever I tried to communicate through this episode is clear to you. Just don't think about your limitations. Try to think about your limitations as a blessing. And when you think like that, you will end up finding new ways to complete your tasks and move forward. I have just one more thing to tell you guys. Dream big, chase your dreams, and always remember, money is also blind. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you guys in another episode. Bye-bye.